Alright fellas, what's going on? Denonu here, the man with black privilege. And we got ourselves a new Flash episode. Impressions, review, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to be doing a commentary talking about it. This episode was called Fastlane. And it's Season 2, Episode 12. And in this episode, we got a few things actually. We got ourselves an villain of the week. We got that new villain that pretty much just didn't really play a big part in anything, to be honest. It was very, very minor. Like, I want to say the villain didn't even wasn't even like the main point of the episode, really. But he was some guy who got killed on the day of the particle, etc. Let me talk like I got some sense. The particle accelerator. There we go. He got killed the day the particle accelerator, blew up in the beginning of season 1. And pretty much his body got merged with, the tar he was killed in. He was killed by these 3 gangster guys who, they never really said why they killed him. Except I think he owed the one guy money or something like that. So, but that wasn't the most important thing. Basically, he got killed. They threw his body into some boiling tar. The tar merged with him. It didn't kill him. He popped up 2 years later, trying to kill those 3 people. Like I said, the villain stuff wasn't really the big part of. Wasn't really a big part of the episode. I cannot talk today. Damn. But what was the best part of the episode was basically twofold. You got Joe, pretty much. I don't know why they're doing this Wally West stuff. I mean, I guess it's cool for the people who like to see that, but I'm not a fan of the whole Wally West storyline in Flash. Mainly because to me that's not Wally West. I know they're trying to go by the New 52, but it's just weird seeing him as Wally West. I never liked it when they announced the New 52. That kind of sort of thing just seems like, I would call it whitewashing, but it's like blackwashing to me. I didn't like it when they did it in Fantastic Four with Human Torch with Michael B. Jordan. I don't like it here. Let me just throw that out there. I don't care if he was black, white, Asian, or Native American, or Indian, or whatever. I hate it in all forms. I think they should stick with, the comic book characters that set up, the medium. And I didn't like it when they did it in the comic book, but for whatever reason, the past 2 or 3 years, it's like everybody's trying to be as PC as possible without just sticking to their guns and, honoring the character that they made, whether that be Marvel or DC. But anyway, back to the episode. Let me not ramble here. Basically, Iris had a bug up her butt about Wally racing, talking about it's gonna get him killed, blah 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 blah. And she was trying to convince her dad, Joe, to, hey, look, you need to talk to this kid, right? Try to get him to stop racing. Now, to me, watching it, that whole storyline never made sense, because you can't go into that situation being a father. You weren't a father to this kid. Now, mind you, it'd be different if the kid grew up with you, but he didn't. He's, let's say, 18, 20, or maybe even in his 20s. I don't know. They didn't specify their age, so I'm assuming, let's say, 18 to 25. You can't just jump into somebody's life and say, oh yeah, I'm their dad, do what I say, because that's not how real life works. Maybe that's how real life works in the WB, but that's not how real life works. But anyway, wasn't a fan of that whole side storyline. Like I said, not a fan of the Wally West stuff. However, I am a fan of the other half of this episode, which was Earth 2 Harrison Wells and Barry, them working together to try to close down the portals and stuff like that. Harrison Wells was basically, I mean, if you want to call it betraying, I mean, I don't call it betraying Team Flash. He basically made this device that he would put on Barry's suit, that whenever Barry would use his super speed while wearing the suit, it would drain him of his speed force energy. which would in turn make Barry slower. And then he will turn around and give that energy to Zoom so he can power himself up. Basically, this is slowly draining on Barry's speed, making him slower overall. Hence, in doing so, when the villain popped up at one of the races, because the guy who was leading one of Wally's races was one of the guys that, Tar Pit wanted to kill. Now, in turn, in doing so, he caused Wally's car to basically break the laws of physics and do like a loop-de-loop, but only half of it, so it went back towards, let's say, Iris. So Flash came up, got Wally out of his car, saved him, saved the guy who Tar Pit was there to kill. But however, a piece of glass flew into Iris and he wasn't fast enough to catch it. Something else that bugged me. Now, don't get me wrong, maybe I'm the only one who thinks this way, but I'm sorry. Oh, excuse me. Getting all emotional, hitting my damn mic stand. Iris was not hurt, but yet if you watch the episode, they made it out like she was shot. Like they had her in bed rest. She was knocked unconscious. I'm like, hold on, you just had like a 2-inch piece of glass. Mind you, it didn't even hit her anywhere vital. That was the first thing I noticed. Like, it would be different if it hit her in like the sternum or the gut or, something vital like that, to where like, oh, this could be life threatening. No, it hit her like in the meat of her shoulder. The one spot in movies where somebody gets shot in the shoulder and they be like, oh, don't worry about it, this is just a through and through. That spot. But yet they immediately have her in the hospital like it's like the worst thing in the world that you could do to somebody. And that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, number one, I was like, Joe's at her side and she's waking up. The first thought that popped in my head was, I was like, why was she unconscious? People get like sliced up all the time, get their fingers chopped off and stuff and go to the fucking emergency room. You just don't pass out from being stabbed with glass. That's not how it works. How I think they should have played that a little bit better is, let's say, instead of having the glass stab her in her shoulder, I think they should have had it, let's say, have it fly past her neck and, let's say, slice her neck. I'm not saying, slice her throat or anything like that, but just like cut her neck, like cut the side of her neck to where, let's say, she had to get like a couple stitches or something. And then have the doctor explain, like, man, if that piece of glass, only hit like an inch or two, closer, it could have hit her jugular. So she was like, let's say, make her out to be extremely lucky, to where she was like an inch away from dying. I think that would have been better off, and it would have been more realistic and got the point across that, hey, look, she almost died, even though that she didn't. Because the way that they played this out at the end of the episode, Joe was all mad at Harrison Wells, and I'll get to that in a second. But he was all mad at Tar Pit and Harrison Wells because, Iris got hurt, when in reality she wasn't that hurt to begin with. But anyway, she got hurt, and they couldn't figure out why Flash was so slow. And in the meantime, Barry and Harrison Wells, they built this device, looked like a blue football, that Barry pretty much could throw in the energy portals that lead to Earth 2, and basically close down those portals. So if they can get one of those and toss one into every portal, they could eventually shut down every portal that leads to Earth 2 and stop Zoom from coming through. But they don't do that, and I'll get to that I'll get to that reason in a second. Leading up towards the end of the episode, like I said, Joe was mad at Harrison Wells because while they were doing this, Harrison Wells was mouthing off at Barry, things like that, because he is reminded of his daughter in Barry's actions and how Barry is trying to help him, and he's thinking about his daughter. And Harrison Wells, like, he's pulling a Vegeta, where it's like, I don't need nobody's help, I could do it by myself, when in reality he needs all the help he can get. And Barry doesn't understand why he's doing that until they eventually have like a heart-to-heart where he pretty much, it's really Harrison Wells felt guilty for betraying Barry. So they have like a little heart to heart and everything. And later on in the episode, when they're trying to figure out like, man, Barry wasn't strong, wasn't fast enough to save Iris. Why is he so slow? When he was asking Cisco and they were like, yeah, you're like 2% slower. We don't know why. Maybe we could figure some things out. And then that's when Harrison Wells just up and told him like, hey, look, I booby-trapped your suit. It was me. And that's when Joe came in there, punched him in the face, drug him to that little prison area where they keep all the metahumans, threw him in there. And basically, and it was funny, they were all mad at him. They were all mad at Harrison Wells, like, oh, you betrayed us and everything like that, right? When he told Barry earlier in the episode that, when he was asking him, like, I'm going to be faced with a choice, like, I'm going to betray you eventually, I'm going to do it, because he has to pretty much choose between, betraying Barry and stopping Zoom from killing his daughter, or choose Barry and let Zoom kill his daughter, when he don't agree to work with him. So to me, I understood where he was coming from. It's like, I would be expecting that if I was Team Flash. But for some reason, maybe this is WB, maybe, they got him, make it drama, and I can't really call Flash drama, but they have to make everything goody two shoes and nice and everything like that. So it's to me, I don't find that as realistic. That whole situation isn't realistic, but I do like how the end of the episode played out, where basically Harrison Wells was like, look, I know you don't trust me no more. Just send me back home. I'll deal with Zoom on my own. Close the portals. That way you don't got to worry about them. And while they were figuring that out, they pretty much talked and had the same conversation that, that I just did, where I was talking about, look, where they understood where he was coming from. And they just, they're letting him out. And what they're going to be doing, what I'm hoping they do next week in the next episode, is they're going to go to Earth 2. And we're going to see Team Flash, Harrison Wells, go to Earth 2. Because they're kind of out of the whole meta-human thing. Where like I'm still, I'm pretty sure they're going to still pop up. But as far as Zoom sending metahumans over to kill Barry, I think they're pretty much done with that. And Zoom is pretty much has taken like a back seat for like 3 or 4 episodes where they haven't really did anything. But I'm hoping that they introduce some new stuff when they go to Earth 2. You're going to see more different types of technology, because from what Wells was saying in this episode, Earth 2 has developed different tech than, let's say, Earth 1. And I know in the few images that we were shown of it back in, earlier this season, Earth 2 has a lot of... It kind of reminds me of Fallout, where Fallout has a retro style, but they still have some advanced tech. It just looks like it's from the 60s. That's the way Earth 2 looks. But I'm assuming they're gonna go to that laboratory place that they showed earlier this season, where Harrison Wells was working and everything like that. I'm assuming they're gonna go there. The biggest question I have so far this season, though, is, unless they find like a MacGuffin or just some magical way of stopping Zoom that they haven't thought of yet, is how are they going to stop Zoom? I mean, that's the biggest question, because if he's faster than Barry, either Barry has to get faster or Zoom has to get slower. And Zoom, I really do think that Zoom is going to probably be Barry's dad. And the only reason I say that is because they had certain images leaked out where they pretty much showed Zoom without the CG effect over his eyes and everything. And it looks like what's the guy's name? John Wesley Shipp, the guy who played the Flash, aka Barry's dad in this, but he also played the first Flash in the first TV series in the 90s. It kind of sort of looked like him. So I think they're gonna go with that, and have Barry's dad be Zoom and have that be a big thing that he has to fight his dad, rather than have Zoom just be... See, I know he's wearing a Flash suit. I mean, they're making that extremely obvious, which I don't think they should have did. I think they should just gave Zoom his own kind of sort of look, rather than just make him look like a black Flash. But either I think they're gonna make him, or what should I say? Either they're gonna make Professor Zoom be John Wesley Shipp, Barry's dad, or I don't see who else it can be. I mean, unless they introduce somebody new, it's either gonna be Barry's dad or, let's say, an evil version of Barry from Earth 2. But to me, an evil version of Barry will be kind of redundant, and it's what everybody expects. So I think they're gonna, flip it on its head and just have it be Barry's dad, and then you can bring all the drama and the morals and all of that stuff into it that Barry has to overcome in order to beat him. So, but anyway, I just hope that they make it interesting. However, I do hope that when they go to Earth 2, I hope they leave Wally behind. But something tells me I think he's gonna tag along, and I think that I honestly think Wally's gonna get speed powers eventually. Wally may even be Professor Zoom, because if you think about it, maybe that's how he get his powers. Maybe Wally goes with him, and during Barry's fight with Zoom, maybe some of that Speed Force energy gets transferred to Wally, because that's how Wally got powers in the New 52. So maybe they're gonna go with that route and have, let's say, Professor Zoom be Wally of Earth 2. But we just gotta wait and see when the episodes play out, and hopefully when the season finale hurry up and gets here, we can see it and then lead into season 3 with whatever they're gonna do. But anyways, that's been my impressions on this episode, guys. Sorry for rambling on. I try not to. So I'm going to try to make these a little bit shorter. But if you guys like these, please do let me know. I don't mind doing them. I also plan to jump back on Arrow eventually once I get caught up, and do these for that too. So be on the lookout for those as well. My name has been Denonu, the man with the most biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.